What is going on, guys? My name is Zenith. Today I'm going to show you how to wheelie a motorcycle. I'm making this video extremely in-depth because it was incredibly hard to find a good video whenever I was learning myself. So I'm going to try to make it easy on you guys. That's a bug? What the heck? Okay. Alright, so first things first, I got to give you guys a little disclaimer. That disclaimer is learn how to ride a motorcycle before you even begin to wheelie. I'd say as many months as you can wait to do wheelies, wait it. The more control you have over your bike, the better your wheelies are going to be and the safer they're going to be as well. So today in this video I'm going to go over clutch up wheelies. Power wheelies are also a thing. I'm not going to cover that simply for the fact that not that it doesn't take skill to do a power wheelie, but clutch ups are much more versatile. If you want to get into stunt riding and stuff like that, you're gonna need to learn how to clutch up. So let's go ahead and get into that. First, I got to show you guys how it works. How does a clutch up wheelie work and why does it work? So essentially what you do with the clutch up is you pull the clutch in, rev the bike up, dump the clutch, the wheel pops up. Now why does this happen? Because whenever you pull the clutch in, you disengage the rear wheel. So you can rev this all you want and that rear wheel is not going to spin at all because you have the clutch engaged. Now whenever you rev it though, your RPMs are going to be spiking. When your RPMs go up, the engine's moving faster. So you dump that clutch, whenever you let go of that clutch, it's going to automatically apply all that engine pressure to the rear wheel and a huge surplus. So what does torque do? Pulls you back, therefore pulling your front wheel up. Simple as that. That's how a clutch up works. So now let me go ahead and show you guys on the bike what you're going to want to do and how you're going to want to go ahead and do it. Just a quick little forewarning, it's going to be a little bit different depending on what bike you're riding. Me personally, this is my 2022 Yamaha R7. If your bike is a little more powerful than this one, you're not going to need to work as hard to get that front wheel up. If your bike is a little less powerful than my R7, you're going to need to work a little bit harder to get that wheel up. Either way, a wheelie is doable on every bike, okay? I can guarantee that. Some bikes are going to be a little harder than others. Some bikes, you know, are going to be extremely easy, overly easy. So let's go over the basic instructions on how to wheelie. Basically, what you do, right? You're going to pull your clutch in and you're going to rev the throttle. So rev it up and hold it. You're not going to rev it and then drop it. You're going to rev it up and hold it at a certain RPM. And then on your left hand, you're just going to dump the clutch while still holding the throttle pinned at that spot. You're not going to want to adjust the throttle after you have it pinned at the RPM that you want it at, okay? Because then you're going to mess yourself up and you're not going to be expecting the wheelie that you get, all right? So let's go ahead and get moving and let me show you like basic stuff. Before we begin moving at all whatsoever, you're going to want to place your foot on this right here. If you don't know what that is, you shouldn't be wheeling in the first place, but that's your rear brake, okay? So you're going to want your foot hovered on your rear brake because regardless, if your front wheel comes up too high, you get a little scared, tap the rear brake, it'll slam back down, you'll be okay. All right, so it's called covering the rear brake. So you're gonna want to put your foot right on the rear brake. Don't put pressure on the brake, don't activate the brake, but just keep it there, keep it ready. Not in like riding position. You don't want to wheelie in riding position with your right foot. Left foot, fine, do it. Right foot, keep it flat on there so you can tap that rear brake if needed. Running low on gas, but it's okay. Start your bike. For my R7, I like to wheelie in second gear. Okay, if I can get into gear, there we go. I like to wheelie into second gear. You can do first gear as well. If you have a Honda Grom or something small like that, it's likely going to be first gear wheelies, but that's okay. You know, you can wheelie in whatever gear you want. Just know first gear is a little bit shorter than other gears. If you have a R6 or something like that, you might be in third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth gear, whatever. So basically, right, like I said, you're just going to pull that clutch in and rev it and drop the clutch. Just dump the clutch and keep on the throttle, okay? Hold the throttle. Don't twist the throttle. You're not gonna wanna crank it because then the bike's gonna jump, right? You don't want that. You're also not gonna wanna drop the throttle because then your front wheels is gonna come right back down. Now, what I recommend, if it's your first time ever attempting a wheelie ever, just experience what it's like to dump the clutch, okay? So pull the clutch in, rev it, and then drop it at like, you know, some low RPMs, like 2,000, 3,000 RPMs. So I'm gonna dump it at 3,000 RPMs just so you can see how the bike looks. What I recommend doing with your clutch lever is hold on to the grip mostly. If you can, just put one finger on the clutch so that way you're not gonna freak out whenever you come back, okay? So you're gonna have one finger on the clutch so that you can pull it back still, but you're still holding on to the bike itself. You don't wanna let go of the bike. All right, so I'm gonna go up to 3,000 RPMs and dump the clutch just to show you. So it's a three-step process. First step, make sure your foot is covering that rear brake. Put your foot on top of it, not actuating it, but just on top of it. Pull the clutch, rev it, drop the clutch. Simple as that. Let's go to just 4,000 RPM here. See? Bike jumps a little bit. That wasn't enough power to get the front wheel off. but you know, you can see what I'm saying. All right, let me go into second gear. It's a little more tame on these bikes. First gear's a little too short to get the wheelie up and a little too spiky for my liking, if you will. Like I said, cover the rear brake, pull the clutch in, rev it, drop it, bike jumps. Right now, if you do it too slow like I did, if you do it like a step process where you pull in, wait a second, rev it, wait a second, drop the clutch, it's not going to do anything. Now why? Because by the time you're done revving the throttle, your RPMs already dropped back down. You want to catch the RPMs with the clutch. So pull it in, rev it. Whenever you see the RPM hit what you want it, drop the clutch and the bike will jump. Okay, I just burnt my clutch for your well-being. You're welcome. So I would just recommend going in circles in a little parking lot like I am right now and just dropping the clutch at a low RPM. Whenever you feel comfortable with dropping the clutch and see what that feels like at that low RPM, you can bump it up a little bit more and more. As you go up, your front wheel is going to come higher and higher off the ground, and you got to just kind of mess with it depending on your bike. Find that sweet spot of what RPM to drop it out. You don't have to have a direct number in your head. Like, I'm not thinking, okay, 6,500 RPMs, I'm dropping the clutch. It's not like that. I just hear the bike and you can feel the bike and you can catch that wheelie how you want it. If you want a high wheelie, you're gonna rev it higher. Wait till you hear the bike rev up a little higher. If you want a lower wheelie, just rev a little lower. If you just want a little jump, you know, just for fun, you know, you don't have to do much. But there is a sweet spot for every bike. Every bike's different. That's why I'm not giving you a direct number to sustain a wheelie. So let's put it all together and do an actual wheelie for once, covering the rear brake, of course, and then the step process like I explained earlier. It's a little windy out today, but that's what it's gonna be. And now what I just did there is called chasing the wheelie. Okay, you're gonna be at that point for a really long time. So let's go ahead and move into the next section of this video, which is chasing wheelies. So what is chasing a wheelie? The goal of a wheelie in general is to go into balance point. Balance point is whenever your bike is at the point where you don't need gas or throttle, you're just cruising, your bike is balanced at an upright position. Not completely upright, but not completely down, but like you find that balance point. That's called balance point. So balance point is a little hard to find, and the work up process to finding balance point is when you're chasing wheelies. So chasing wheelies is whenever you get that front wheel up, but you're cruising and your front wheel slowly drops down, but you're like redlining at that point. So like you pop it up, you know, you're good, and then you're trying to like rip the throttle to pull yourself backwards, but your front wheel is still falling and you're revving up, you're running out of rev range. Now why does this happen? It's because you got to use your body to wheelie as well. It's not just the bike that's going to wheelie. The bike doesn't wheelie for you. You in combination with the bike wheelie. So body position is also a key thing. Make sure your butt is scooped back a little bit. Make sure you're sitting back on the bike, not too far back, because then you're going to offset the balance. But you got to find your balance on the bike itself, and then it'll help you find balance point. I find it with smaller bikes, you chase wheelies a lot more because you don't have the power to get yourself up. Bigger bikes, a little easier to wheelie, like I had mentioned in the beginning of the video. A little easier to pull yourself up because you can rely more on the bike and the rev range itself to pull the bike up for you. Now that being said, once you get up there, what do? Right? Moving on from balance point, maintaining a wheelie. How do you sit in the wheelie for extended periods of time? Now that's another hard part, right? That's the hard part about a wheelie, is getting up there. Anybody can pop the front wheel up, you know? Anybody can just do that, but not everybody can sit in that wheelie. So once you find balance point, it's kind of like a clutch throttle relationship, except it's going to be throttle and rear brake. So you have to adjust, you know? If you're falling forward a little bit, give it a little more gas and maybe sit back in your seat a little more. Okay, so sit back in your seat, make sure you're in that comfortable balance position, give it a little more throttle and pull that front wheel a little bit up. Now if you notice you're going a little too far back, you can tap that rear brake again. So it's kind of like a trade-off. It's either the throttle working or the rear brake working, but at times you're not going to need either. If you're sitting in the balance point, but you know, momentum, gravity, stuff like that, you're not going to be able to constantly cruise in balance point. You're going to need to give the bike some assistance. But it's really simple, and wheeling just takes a lot of practice. I recommend, you know, wearing full gear. If you need some gear, you can use code Zenith at kytamericas.com or nbtclothing.com. That should cover all your bases for any gear that you could possibly need. If you don't want that brand of gear, fine by me. You know, you can get whatever you want. All gear is better than no gear, we'll put it that way. So highly recommend gear, and just take it slow, work at your own pace. I recommend not even practicing with a friend. Like, don't go practice with a friend in a lot, because then you guys are going to be competing to see who can get their wheel up higher and all this stuff, and it's just room for error. You know, do it yourself, do it at your own pace. You don't have any competition, and it's just easy. And do it on a day that's not windy. Today's a little windy out, so you can see the trees blowing in the wind. It's hard to maintain a wheelie. Like, I don't even want to pop it up right now because the bike is swerving, right? Now you can get more into it, and maybe I can make a more in-depth video on like actual stunt riding. I'm not a stunt rider whatsoever, but you know, there's other tricks you can do, lowering your tire pressure, stuff like that. But this is just a video covering casual wheelies. You just want to get that front wheel up and kind of enjoy it a little bit. So hopefully this video helped. If it did, let me know. If it didn't, let me know as well. If you're an experienced rider and you have some help to offer to some younger individuals, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I'm always open to learn new things as well. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next Saturday for another video, and stick to the TikToks and the Twitch. I'll be doing that stuff daily per the usual, and I will see you next week. Peace out.